and not my esteemed producer slash engineer, aka Mr. Wilson. But welcome back, everybody. I hope you've had a good weekend. How do we like to bring them back in, KP?
This is the first show of the week.
Yeah.
We as always, we hope that as many of you that left us made it back.
That's right. That's right. It's not a guarantee when we separate from each other on a Friday that we'll be able to talk again on a Monday.
Exactly. And like always, we would like to take a moment of silence for the ones that haven't or couldn't make it back.
Excellent start, young man, and I appreciate you more than you know. A duo only works when the two are together, guys. So KP and I appreciate you all more than you know. But welcome to Make It Make Sense, Jackson. This is a very important show today because, and look, we were ready for you all. We got to rush right in. Because the city, it's a lot that's happened over the weekend, young man. Let me just say this separately. It's a lot that's happened along the lines of solidarity and togetherness here in Jackson. I don't know, and let me start off with that. You all know, a lot of you that have listened to me on a regular basis, and I'm honored that you do that, know that I talk about wins for us as a people, and I talk about the civil rights gap between Dr. King and Barack Obama, and how a lot of our leading politicians, our religious leaders, don't mention that in between gap, only kind of lean on the long ago and Barack Obama, and they can't find civil rights heroes right here in the here and now, while the rest of us are watching ourselves have to push through life on life's terms, and watch mothers, fathers, children, grandmothers, aunts. Just thinking about being in court and watching when an aunt has to take, or an uncle has to take over, 3 or 4 of their siblings' children all of a sudden because they passed away or something happened they just weren't expecting. In our community, we get hit with the worst of the worst. So all of those type of things are happening on a regular basis. And those are heroes. Those are daily heroes, folks that are just making it through with a lot of the oppressive situation that they're dealing with. So, I think that's the first shout out, but the tenderism, if everyone remembers, my wife last time when I bring it up, but it's real and she sees that. Together we actually weaponized our dollar, right? We weaponized our dollar and we weaponized social media. So before you let any of your law professors, history professors, teachers, parents tell you about what they did in the last 40 to 45 years, ask them when do they collectively pull together their economic and their social media power and make a change immediately. And that's a situation where you saw the brother not getting the best deal, and the community surrounded him and forced the pressure, and that brother realized the pressure, it was too great, and he went ahead and got his own barbecue place, and now he's able to get that money himself. Well, I think that also falls hand in hand, and I'm proud of Jackson just because when you see racism that exists in Mississippi, and it's just so inbred here, that the white folks that embody it, because some of the black folks aren't getting away either, but the white folks that embody it are so comfortable with it here. They're so comfortable, they put words out that will last forever on radio shows, on podcasts, online. They put words that will last forever, and they're comfortable doing nothing but being a drain on society, having no actual talent other than just utilizing black people as a joke and to be racist, right? And when you see our community take people like that, eat them up, chew them up, spit them out, and take the joke and turn it into a moment for us to surround our community member, that's a beautiful thing. And those that look at our Facebook page, if you know, you know. I'm not going to go much further because we want to keep the algorithms clean. But it's a great opportunity when we see our community come together and say, we'll decide which one of our community members is wrong. We'll decide what's the problem. And what you're not going to do is, especially to be a white person, especially in this state, what you're not going to do is sit up there and try to create your own dictation of what black people should and shouldn't be doing, and then make a living off of just attacking us. That pride also comes in the fact that from the point when we first used to look at online together, our folks have recognized and pulled away in droves from these type of racist people, and that's the ultimate. That is the ultimate win. Please understand that. Just turn someone off. A lot of people live and eat off of us. They live this. We've talked to you about the Mississippi Shuffle. It goes down to podcasting and radio. Talentless people just eat off of you. The same way talentless enslavers just enslaved people and did nothing else, had no other talent, couldn't even grow a crop to survive, couldn't even feed their wives and take care of their children, right? All they could do was steal from you or steal you. And you have the same thing today. Whether it's the Mississippi Shuffle, where the state of Mississippi is taking hundreds of millions of dollars in HUD and welfare and other COVID funds and not passing it along to the African American community, or whether it's folks that just have no talent and choose to talk about you as a way to come up. I'm just proud of our city because you get to a point where you're fed up of it, and then people realize, we are the bag. Remember that. And that doesn't mean we're doing it.
We're 100% of the revenue in Jackson, and people don't know that.
Absolutely.
Black people, we the 100% of
Mississippi, period.
Mississippi, period. Thank you. Absolutely.
Y'all didn't know that. And as I told somebody online in the comment section, he was like, it's because y'all are not law-abiding citizens in Jackson. That's why it's so much stuff happening to y'all, and that's why y'all don't have infrastructure and all this stuff being teared down. I said, no, they take that money that we got, all our tax dollars, and they move it to Madison. They don't spend our money on us. That's why we need to stop giving it to them.
That's true.
That's an accurate understanding of it, and he
didn't say nothing after that.
Nothing after that. And he's being accurate too. See, you know why he didn't say anything? Because somebody probably reached out and said, Chip, stop being so honest. Because see, what he said was honest, and what you said was real. What he said was the law was created for you Negroes to stay in your place.
Yeah.
If you all would stop breaking the law, i.e. getting uppity, trying to vote yourselves as mayors of capital cities, you got to really understand what these folks mean when they say that. Yeah. They definitely mean if you vote, there were folks that told people in Jackson when you vote white, they'll say when you vote right, Jackson will get put back together. But everyone understood what that meant, right? So I think that a lot of and that's why politicians are able to trick our people so much. Right. Because they put on the suits, and this is where that confusing a noose with a necktie comes in. The politician puts on that suit and then convinces his people that we've progressed farther than we have. Yep. In spite of the laws not being in our favor, in spite of actually the laws reversing, going in the opposite direction. They convince folks that, and that's what Brother Malcolm X talked about when he said that when you're starting to make progress, they send one of your own, not to get in front of you, but to make you believe, to make you suffer peacefully, right? Talking about Dr. King's March, when he talked about that, a lot of people talked about that. When they sent folks in to try to say, well, let's change it. Let's change the whole spirit of that march until what you got at the end was, I have a dream that little black boys and little white girls will hold hands. I can assure you, any of us that really studied Dr. King or were part of any movement know full and well that was not what his dream was. But that is what happens when you bring in Negroes that are fully willing to water down a message in order to get personal gain. Exactly. And there's a lot of those Negroes that were surrounding Dr. King that day, and a lot of their children still running around here doing the same damn thing in 2026. And
I told them, I said, you the exact reason why the city being drained, sir. You are the exact reason.
It's the uppity, not the poor, I guarantee you. It's the ones that want to not be what they are that hurt you the most, not the ones who are trying to fight out of the position they're in. Please understand that. The people trying to fight out of the oppressive position they're in, you give them a little bit of a help. Don't go and give them a job. You see how when you opened up the Metro Center and they just told people jobs for there? 2,000 people were rumored to have showed up. Actually, I know a person called me from there and said, this is about the turnout we've had totally. Right? And so what they do, WLBT didn't report that. WAPT didn't report that. Because if they report that, then they show that you can't use the lazy narrative. You can't use these narratives if all these people are showing up trying to work. So you give people one break from the lower ring of society.
It's not him that's draining the city?
No, it is. Oh. Absolutely. No. We're understanding. I'm building off of what you're saying. Not in adverse to it. No. It's folks like that are giving a narrative that's false. Yeah. So the narrative is people don't want to work, you know what I mean? They don't want to get, and in reality, you got people lined up looking for a job. So folks that jump in, I think, and just give their opinion in that way, I think that they're really working for, I hate to say working for the state, but they're working for the powers that want Jackson to give it over to them.
Because somewhere else in Jackson, he's probably just like he's a gentleman with the same skin color as he's an older gentleman, right? And I'm pretty sure somewhere in Jackson, he's looked at like the community leader or something, and people listen to him and he have this control over their minds.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. He's the model African American male in society. Let's talk about that topic. Listeners, I stop saying Jackson and welcome everybody everywhere. But we have to start to adjust. Remember we talked earlier in the show about adjusting, and then we're going to get into how some of this has already cost us with the situation we're facing right here in Jackson with our water, right? But when you have people that move into that position, what was the exact thing that I was talking about? I'm about to go out on a rant.
What you mean?
The job fair.
The job, yeah. The 2,000 people showing up, right? The narrative, right? When you cast that type of narrative, then it allows people to then say, okay, well, this is what Jackson is. Versus when you don't cast that narrative, it doesn't allow them. And we were talking about men, and I was talking about someone specific. We'll go back to it, but I think the narrative is the bigger problem. That's all the story I was going to tell was narrative shifting and how folks shift narratives. And then once they shift that narrative, you're living in whatever time they're in.
Right. Exactly. It's like you were referring to how the community comes together as a quotation to terrorism situation. Like it was something online that probably happened, and the people spoke out against the person that was making these accusations about a certain person.
And if you're not familiar with terrorism, I want you to finish. If you're not familiar with what the young man is talking about, there was an older black gentleman who started working at a coffee shop, taught them how to add barbecue into it, told himself, the owner admitted it, gave them everything that they had, and then when they blew up, they tried to move him out the way, and then the owner tried to step in and take all of the credit and not give him any of the credit.
Yeah, he tried to patent the
tendenism, which was this brother's thing. Now, what happened to kids, and I want the young man to finish, is that a lot of the people that we deem, that our elite deem on the fringe of society, the black people that are showing up to protest, the black people that are saying, I don't give a F, the black people that are saying, I no longer am going to sit here and take something, the black people that are questioning religion, the black people that are questioning their churches, their mosques, their schools. A lot of these folks were in attendance when they got on there and they pressured that brother to be able to get what was duly his.
No, back to the situation. Yeah, referring to the tenderism, as you said, how the community came together and made sure that he got his portion of what he was not being given, right?
Yeah.
So, I'd like to compare it to like the situation with the water. You know, how the community came out and thought that Stokes really didn't know about the appeal date. Like that.
And all the city, absolutely.
The whole city council, matter of fact. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, no.
And there's also another situation about the water takeover, right? And it's the Mississippi Voters created a 9-member board to take over the water system under this new law that control 3 of the 9 seats. The bill will be passed with no community input.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they know about that either. And the city council didn't warn them.
That's the bigger, and that's the connection, folks, that you've got to see right there, so that you have first where folks will set it up a certain way, right? Where a narrative gets shifted. And let's walk, before we jump into let's walk that narrative back a little bit, right? The narrative was what? What did the narrative start off with the city council and the water?
The 12% rate increase.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what the narrative started off with.
What did they say about it?
They didn't know about the appeal. Is that what you're saying?
No, go back to the beginning of what they thought about the city council.
The beginning.
What the city council felt about the water proposal.
That it shouldn't have happened. That they should have control over it.
No. You're talking. Let's go back to city. Let's go back to City Hall. When we go into City Hall and they're showing up to say whether we should have the water authority or not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're saying,
Yeah.
What should City Hall have control of the water?
Well, no, when you had the Water Authority Act at City Hall, so everyone showed up at City Hall, and the City Council was saying, were they saying we should pass the Water Authority, or was City Council saying we shouldn't?
They were saying we should.
They were saying we should. What did you say?
Shouldn't.
Should.
Oh, should.
Yeah. So City Council, are they behind the Water Authority, or do you think they're not behind the Water Authority that we are bothered with? Yeah, exactly. So that's the first point. Start there with the fact that City Council was for the Water Authority. Because I think that's going to bring people through to the understanding that there's something they could have done that they didn't do, right? So they essentially were for it, and they basically said that this is the best chance we have. This will take away our $200 million in debt, and this is the best shot that we have left, right?
Right.
So freeze that right there. That's the city council's approach to what we should have done with that water, right? Now we're at a point where, what are they saying now?
We didn't know about it.
Exactly. That's the jump that you want to talk about. How do we get from one to the other? So what is it that you see when you're talking about how they're telling us one thing they didn't know? How do you think that played into what they're doing with this water authority?
So you said the beginning was that they should have passed it, right? Now they act like they don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's some misconstruing going on. It's people
At best.
At best, yeah. It's them pretending like they didn't know something, but they actually did know it. It's like that. Well, there's some deals going on behind the scenes.
And this is, yes. And so you see what we're doing here. So the people's understanding, we started the understanding, and let's back up to where we were before we got to that understanding, right? Which was who? Who were we talking about before we got to that understanding? Mr. Tenderism, okay? We were talking about a win with young people and how they're looking at things, right? And then we're going to relate it to the water. So, before that, where did we start? Because I want people to grasp where we're going. We started by talking about civil rights and who our political leaders and our religious leaders, who they recognize during Black History Month as civil rights heroes, right? They either talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, remember when we were here, we're talking about Dr. King, or they talk about President Obama, right?
Right.
So in between, we talk about how tenderism is one of the only situations we see in the last 40 years where we've used our economic power to stop a black person from being taken advantage of, right? So you want to compare that to Charles Everett standing in front of a store telling people we're not going to buy anything from that store, right? You want to compare that to a bus boycott where folks said we're not going to get on your bus and we're not going to boycott. You haven't had anything like that since '65. Unless you go look at a lot of the young people that are out there saying, we're not going to come back to your restaurant if you don't know how to treat. Black Bike Week, look at it's happening right now. One of the lowest turnouts you've ever had because they decided to put so many police out there and so many signs to make it hard for black people to enjoy themselves that black folks started saying, I'm not about to pay my money and use my vacation week to go to Black Bike Week if you don't want me here. You're showing you don't want me here, right? So the one hold is, and I just wanted to finish that point, we're going to jump right into what you're saying, Kimmy. The one hold is just recognizing who is leading our community when it comes to civil rights. That's the only point I wanted to make before moving on. And it's the young people. A lot of times, those people that we say, oh, they're not responsible, or they don't do things the way we do them, or they're not traditional, or those are the black people that are questioning everything. Those young 30-year-olds question church, they question school, they question God, they question everything. But those are the only people that are out there pushing and making some type of actual gain. And so I think that what we need to do is we need to learn how to switch as we merge into the water talk. We need to learn how to switch who our heroes are. That's the only point that I think folks have to understand. And we were talking about that suit. Remember we were talking about that fancy suit? Yeah. And folks not understanding the difference between a noose and a necktie? Before we start talking about this water, because this water conversation that the young man is merging us into is going to get heavy. Because we are at a last stop for any chance of keeping autonomy of our water. And the reason I'm slowing this down this way is because if you don't understand who to listen to and who your heroes are, then you'll listen to the wrong people once again and we'll be in a bad situation, right? So it's very big to understand who our heroes are. I want that to be the premise of the show, even though we're going to go deep into this water thing. Who is actually doing something to break the chains of supremacy? Who is actually doing something for civil rights, right? Who is actually doing something to bring our economic dollar together and make it actually matter? And if we understand differently, then we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now that we're about to talk about, where we believed, and correct me if I'm wrong, as a city, that every single city council member was doing at least $20,000 worth of work a year. We thought that they were at least doing their due diligence in figuring out what should happen when they represent us as a people. So what the young man's talking about is the original point, bless you, the original point was that we were told this water authority was something good. We didn't say that. We said very clearly this is a water takeover. Mind you, they've got legislation pending now where they're trying to stop use of the word, not legislation, they're trying to stop use of the word takeover in court cases here in Jackson. A little bit of sidebar, which is crazy. But yes, so you had John Horn, you had the entire city council and his administration tell us that this water authority was the best deal. Right? We screamed, it's not the best deal. You told us when you were running for mayor, as well as everyone else, you told us that you would make sure the water returned to the city. You immediately tried to go ahead and offer a 50-50 partnership. You tried to put it up for sale to see who would go halves on it immediately in August after coming into office. No one would bite because the state and the water authorities wanted the whole thing. And then you went ahead and you said the water authority is the best deal for us. We'll shift hundreds of millions in debt, and it gives us a chance to have some type of power over our board. Mayor Horn then found out a few days later that we were losing that power as the Mississippi State legislators started to hack away at the power. And then the final step, they took away complete oversight. So now we do not control anything on the water board, if I'm correct.
And we keep the debt.
And we keep the debt.
So every point that they tried to sell this on, they reneged on.
Every point they tried to sell this on, they reneged on. I want you to hear that. Because some folks are still playing around with this. Like, they're going to go talk to John over lunch next week. It's gone. I mean, you're moving at a rate that's expeditious. There is no coming back. If you have his number, I would suggest very strongly you call him and tell him to do something different.
Now,
ASAP. Talking about May 1st, we're talking about the completion gap. So we're sitting on April 13th, and we're talking about a completion of this on May the 1st.
That's the deadline?
That's the completion when the act goes into full effect and there's nothing to stop anymore. Yeah, that's the deadline. I mean, and I don't want to say that's the deadline, young man, because our deadline needs to be tonight. Our deadline needs to move every day.
I know. What I'm saying.
Yeah. May the 1st is when it actually happens. So, and folks are going to have to say, let's talk a little bit more about the water, and I want you to go into it, pick right back up where you were, KP, but I hope folks understand that we're not at a, maybe we should do something point. We're not at a, there's a step we need to take point. We're at a point that the city council has not been transparent with you as the citizens of Jackson in what their next step could be. And therefore, you haven't been able to ask them what it should be. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Don't ask them nothing. Tell them what it should be.
Damn right. They're absolutely right. Absolutely right. They no asking at all. We need to tell them what to do. If they don't do it, we'll use every legal means to get them out of office.
That's right. It's over for games, man. We don't have time for
That's
that.
right. What story were we reading? You want to go over some of the points with the Well, I mean, we can also go over this. There's a basic flyer that you all are going to see posted, right? If you're on Facebook, you're seeing. But it just talks about Jackson, the People's Assembly, community update, and it talks about the state voting to take our water. On March 30th, the state of Mississippi voted to create a 9-member board to take over the water system under this new law. Now, watch this. We only control 3 of the 9 seats. I didn't even read the number out because that's what we were sold, and that's what we've ended up with. We've ended up with $750 million KP left over. How much do we have left over? Almost $700 million. Almost $750 million left over. Mm-hmm. Our bills have increased by 7 to 10 times what we're used to having. Our water is still coming out brown. The streets are still broken up. And now, what would we go up by? 12% increase. 12%. And now, on top of all of that, we're going to get 3 seats on a board of 9. 601-948-5950.
And no means to dispute anything. So if they tell you your bill is $10,000, your bill is $10,000, and there's nobody left to hear you. That's it. And you better pay it or we cutting it off. We don't care if you're an invalid. We don't care if you're a paraplegic. We don't care if you needed to breathe or whatever else or survive. This is life and death at this point, people. It's life and death. They don't have anybody to answer to but Tate Reeves basically at this point. And we all know how he feel about you.
And we have good reason to feel that way about him. This has been a long time thing. This isn't something he just came out the cut trying to do. This is something they've been very open about coming for. And here, the case we were talking about was when they're petitioning the court in this airport case. We were trying to retain some autonomy over our airport. They're petitioning the court, follow this, that they not be able to use the term airport takeover in any of the proceedings.
Yeah, they want to change it to
So what's that? What amendment is that? Is that your freedom of speech at this point? Like they didn't came for everything else in this city.
Absolutely.
So now you can't say what you want to say.
What do they want to change it to? Yeah, absolutely right.
Senate Bill 2162.
And so did they say what they want to change it instead of saying airport takeover? Are they forcing to these points? Are they forcing us to what is man, this place have you stuttering. So we can't say airport takeover. So what are you supposed to say? Anything other than that? Anything other than that?
You gotta
tell you what not to say.
You gotta be nice when they beat you over the head. This is crazy.
They said it was racially motivated. Jackson is majority because Jackson is majority black.
So
you see that right there? That's plain in your face.
That's an Uno reverse, ain't it? That's an Uno reverse for you right there, ain't it?
Listen. And that's why when I say you be trying to work ourselves out of the show sometimes, and that's why I mention your man, your administration right now. That's who's facilitating this. You're friendly with the people that are doing this. You do understand that every picture event down at the museum, Children's Museum, when that $5 million came into the city, Mayor Holman down there with every white Republican he could find. Right? Just cheesing. No, he was cheesing and he was talking real close. You can see him. They were making some type of deals, and for some reason, like I told you, we're gonna keep watching. But I don't think the kids from South and West Jackson, I don't think including that $5 million is a bus that's going to take them down there and make things more accessible.
We got a great question on here. Latoya Smith says, where's the NAACP with this issue? Have y'all contacted them? Why we got to contact the NAACP?
They should be already there.
I think that her question stands. Sometimes our audience, when you ask a question a certain way, sister, I understand.
Where are they?
Yeah, I don't think she even meant to have the second part. I think that that's just by nature, right? It's our nature to say, have you all contacted them? That's just the business side of it. She's probably at work watching the show, and, she's trying to the real question she's asking, just remove the have you all contacted them. The real question she's asking is, where's the NAACP?
I can dig
and they'll have to answer that. So you got to look. I mean, let me tell you one thing that I will say, because I don't leave anyone under the bus. The NAACP was involved with the initial lawsuit with CCID back when that was happening. But since then, the People's Advocacy Institute is the one that's been involved, Ms. Smith. So I can only tell you about who's done something. And we practice so hard in this place to make sure that everything is even, right? To make sure that we, KPNI, right, we used to say we're not the only ones saying this, right? We want to believe that. But at a certain point, y'all, what we started to realize, to the sister's point, is that if nobody is saying anything about what Mayor Horn is doing, if nobody's saying anything about his contacts to slumlords, if nobody's saying anything that he should have done better by Blossom, if no one is saying he's getting campaign donations from slumlords, if no one is saying that Gabriel Prado got a $1.25 million incentive for what it seems like to us for supporting John Horn, because it doesn't benefit the citizens of Jackson, because none of us can afford to move in the Prado loss. Understand that. So that's why I'm saying that. I'm not reckless with what I say. It doesn't benefit a city where the medium income cannot afford it. I already checked it, right? So all these things that we say, ultimately you have to understand we have to be very direct with you. No one else is saying any of these things. So at a certain point, we poured more time and effort into this. And as far as who's standing up for you, there's no need to look for other groups. You had the People's Advocacy Institute. You had the Mississippi Poor People's Campaign. You can keep playing with yourself if you want, and we don't look. Make it make sense. We laugh in the way we say we don't tell you what to think, who to hang with, who to vote for. We just give you the facts and help you make it make sense. The only groups that stood up for you and what you're dealing with right now were the People's Advocacy Institute and Mississippi Poor People's Campaign. And just Google the lawsuit that's incoming. Google the only intervention that's happening for you right now. You like it? I love it.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You're on the air. Welcome to Make It Make Sense. You have a comment or question for us?
Yes. Thank you for accepting my call.
Yes, ma'am.
I need help. I'm 74 years old. They have turned my water and I just haven't been able to get help. Anyway, I was given your number. We may get help. So.
Well, we appreciate you calling, my sister. Can you give us, and don't give us any personal information, can you give us a little background of usually what happens is our folks are getting a bill that they just didn't use. The bill goes high and then an interruption comes. What happened in your situation, if we can ask?
All of that has happened to me, and I was going through automatic draft.
That happens too.
And on last Monday, they came out here because I wasn't able to pay the amount. They cut the water off.
Okay, and I'm sorry to hear that, first off. So we're getting your information as we speak. Let me ask you just to see the similarities between other community members. When it was the bill, a bill that you were okay with, you understood, and it just didn't take the payment out, or was the bill higher than you were expecting? What was the root?
I expected, and it was over $3,000, and I just.
And are you the only one using the water there?
Yes.
Okay. And they weren't saying that you hadn't paid the bill, they just gave you a very high amount for your water all of a sudden, or has this been happening for years?
Been happening for months.
And what is your bill, if I may ask, again, try not to give us any, what is your bill when the problem's not happening? If you can remember in normal time, what did your bill come to with just you using water there?
It was like $70, $80 a month.
$70, $80 a month. And were you, and last question that I'm going to ask, just in either way is fine, were you making those smaller payments regularly, or were you not able to make those smaller payments?
I was able to make the smaller payments, but they came out here and cut the services at the beginning of the year. And I was included.
So she give it out for.
And but
Ask her how long she been out. Her water been out.
I haven't been able to take care of this Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you able to, how long has your water been off?
I've been working on this since last Monday. They came out Monday.
About a week.
Okay.
A week ago.
That's if she have any medical conditions.
Do you have any, and I'm glad that you gave us a call. Talk to us about your medical conditions. Are you able to move around comfortably, or do you have any medical conditions that would cause this to be an even greater duress?
I am disabled. And it is true that I have had several strokes. But I'm doing better.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've worked all my adult life. And I always try to help others.
Yes, ma'am.
This last week I tried to get help. But you say I'm the only one. And I realized that.
Well, this is the way you should be treated, whether you're the only one or not. And we've got, my producer has your number. I know you spoke with him briefly, but I appreciate you for calling in because people need to hear how this affects real people. And if you want to just give us your age range just for the impact of who they're doing this to.
Sir, I'm 74 years old.
Did you try, the last question I have for you, my sister, and then I'm going to have my producer take you offline, okay? He's going to call you back offline. Did you try to make payment arrangements once they disconnected, let them, even if you made the payment arrangements the first time, did you let them know that when they cut it off, after they cut you off, when you called in and let them know everything you just told me, this makes me very bothered, so let me calm myself down.
Did she even get anybody on the phone?
Did you even get anybody on the phone after you got cut off?
The lady just told me that I didn't need to come in. I need to at least bring in half of the money. And I have not been able to find anybody to help me. I do have income that comes with the first week of the month. But it goes towards the bills that I also have.
Sad, man.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we're not going to, let me tell you one thing about this community and us sitting in this we're not going to we're going to fight every way possible to get you the help that you need. Unfortunately, you are representative of a lot more residents that are going through this than just you, my sister. So I'm sorry that this is happening to you, and I say that from the bottom of my heart genuinely. This is a 12% increase. Knowing it was going to hit folks on fixed incomes is diabolical, especially when your water hasn't gotten better. And for somebody that's 74 and the only one using the water to have a phone bill that's $3,000 and they're paying small amounts every month, that's just unacceptable.
$3,800.
$3,800.
That's close to the
so
full.
they told you in Jackson, Mississippi, on a medical condition with all types of assistance that you need to come up with $1,600 now, or you don't get any water.
No, that's not right.
1,800. Thank you. That's my math. You all know me. My longtime audience knows my math. $1,800. And I'm not going to ask you to go deep into your, but I have a hunch that may be more, if not equal to, if not more, than what you're getting completely every month on your fixed income. I don't even want to think about that. And let me ask you one more question. Don't give us any details, and then I'm going to let you go, my sister, and I'll let my producer talk to you. What is south, west, north? What part of Jackson are you in?
I live.
Yeah. And you could just say West Jackson or South Jackson if you don't want to get particular. Or North Jackson, Fondren. You can just say the area if you like.
West Capitol.
Okay, well listen, first off, let me just say this to you on air. One of the reasons that we do this, my sister, is for not just for some people, but for all people. You put in your work and you should be able to have retired and to live in some type of peace. So we're going to call you after this, and any of our audience members, that want to assist can inbox us, can reach out to us. But we are going to follow with you today, and we'll work with all the organizations that we have our hands touching and see if we can't get you some help, okay? And what I would like you to do, my sister, is just anyone you talk to and anyone listening, if you can afford your bill, if you don't care that much about it, there's a reason you need to sign these petitions and show up in court when this is being discussed. Because these are the silent people that we often don't hear from, that often don't have the energy or even believe anyone's going to pick up when they call. And they're sitting there being bullied with mob-style techniques against them, being told to you know what, pay me. And it's our 74, our elderly, most vulnerable community members that are paying the price. So my sister, if you're okay with that, we're going to give you a call offline, okay? And then we'll bring you back online when we get this all figured out.
Okay.
Thank you. Any final words you want to say to your city before you get off about this happening to you?
Well, it is true that I haven't had to ever have my service stopped. This is the first time. I am 4 years old, and I just haven't been able to contact anyone that can help me. I have talked to my councilman. I talked to the
Who is your councilman? Just so we know. We're going to follow up.
hold on. This is my caregiver.
Oh, you go ahead and get that. You go ahead, because that's got to be, I know what that's at.
That's hardly.
Yeah, that's hardly. Okay, we'll follow up with you, okay? But I don't want you to miss that.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, yes, how you doing there, man? This is the radio show. We were talking to, we're not saying her name on air, but we were talking to her about her water situation, the water bill, and what we can try to do to help as a community. So I'm going to let her go to deal with you, unless there's anything you want to add on to that as being the one that comes in there. If you want to tell us how this water being off affects her, what she's going through, that would be very helpful because you're on air now anonymously. Did I lose her? I think I lost her. Might have been a signal, but no, that's we're gonna. That would have been excellent for her homemade to be able to tell us a little bit about how that's affecting her,
Yeah.
And how it affects her residents.
Well, it's. Can you say that one more time?
No, just if you could give us a little bit of, without getting into the personal nature of or her information, just how this community member not having water as an elderly community member, how is it affecting her?
She is in a wheelchair, and she has had, 7 strokes, so she can't get up and really do for herself.
How
So
do you make a...
water, I'm having to go places to get water, or fill up jugs for her, and it's been real rough this past week and a half.
And God bless you, because I'm sure your regular process does not include filling up water. So it sounds like you're doing that on your own to take care of it.
going
So we
above and
appreciate you
beyond.
as well.
Yep.
So and let me just ask you this: do you see this frequently, or is this kind of a rare case where you're running into elderly people in our city that don't have water because of a bill that they just don't understand?
This is my first time having to deal with this.
Okay.
So I've never had to deal with any of this. But because she's like my grandma, I'm going to make sure she's straight.
That's right.
We appreciate
We
it.
have to call different places to try to help her get the water back home.
That shouldn't be that. No, well, first let's just say we appreciate you. This is Make It Make Sense, Jackson. We're on the radio show, and we appreciate our community members that are making it happen. So when we talk about looking for our local heroes,
That's
well,
one.
sister, there's one right here on the phone with us. So A, we just appreciate you. And B, let me ask you one more thing before we get off, because we've got to land it. What do you think would have happened to her if you weren't there, just being honest?
It just went down here worse than what it is.
And with her medical condition, would that have worsened as well? And no, we're not trying to make anything seem what it's not, but realistically, if you weren't there to help her with her medical condition and they didn't turn her water back on, what do you think would have happened? Would it have gotten a lot worse for her?
It would have gotten a lot worse.
Well, we appreciate you, sister. Keep being a hero out there. If you want to give a shout out to anyone, you can really quickly. We don't try to put your name out there, but we want everyone to hear your voice and know that we got to stop believing in heroes just because they're dressed a certain way and start believing in the heroes that are out there helping those people in our community that need it. Any final words you want to say before we let you go, sister? Okay, we appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. I wish we had something. I was trying to coax him and just give it something so we could give her, just say
Give her flowers.
Yeah. But guys, if you were listening to that, there's a reason we slowed that down intentionally. And big up to our producer who tries to capture every moment in real time for you, and that's intentional. And this is what's happening. At what point do you have to hear enough before you recognize that we've got to stand up and do something, right? So these are the stories that are rampant. First off, that was one of our younger.
At this point, it's a human rights issue.
Yeah.
At this point. I mean.
Yeah.
This is Katrina all over.
Yep.
That's it. It's Katrina all over again. It's the mentality. Leave them where they are, no matter what age they are, no matter what they need. We don't care. And you got to imagine, this resident, we've called them, we've vetted, we've researched it. She called Jackson Waters, you can imagine, saying the same thing you just heard. I'm medical, I need help. And usually when you're trying to get your service turned back on, we all know, what do? You tell everything that's wrong. And then some, trying to get a little bit of sympathy to get that service back on. So you're listening to how our elders are being treated. And please, my California residents, right? Those residents that call us from Hawaii and from Canada and from North Carolina, that listen, excuse me, when folks are outside of your city, please let it be known that this is still technically a city with majority black leadership. This is where all skin folk and kinfolk takes a big front seat. This is still a city. That caller you just heard, especially if you're not Ohio, the brother that called from Ohio saying, I'm watching y'all. If you're not sitting here, understand this city is still condemned. No one is speaking up for this sister. No one is trying to open avenues. They're just letting it happen.
They won't even answer the phone.
They won't even answer their phone. She can't get through to her council person. She said, I reached out to my council person. That's most likely Vernon. That is Vernon Hartley, based on where she said she lives off of. I can't reach my council person. And we've had a lot of reports of people not being able to get through to their council people, including Vernon. So 74, I'm in the homemade told us she can't move. Like, what story? Remember we had the 90-year-old elderly folks on? Remember all? At what point does it become enough that Tougaloo, Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley State, when does it become enough? All of these lawyers that you all just do it on your own. Don't tell me administration doesn't let me. This isn't about a school. It's about the people that are supposed to make up these institutions. All of these things are supposed to be made up by powerful black people looking to pull their community up. Well, where are all of the lawsuits at? Where are all of the editorials? Where are all of the Facebook posts circulating and jumping into our algorithms? Where folks are being called out for allowing our elderly, most vulnerable part of our community to sit in wheelchairs in their own feces if it wasn't for a homemade that looks at her like her grandmother and probably grew up knowing her. Well, what about all those other old ladies and old men and elderly people that don't have that same homemade there?
They're just supposed to just sit there and rot, I guess.
They're just supposed to sit there, and you heard her say what it would look like.
It went downhill, she said.
She said it would have gone downhill quickly. And you heard her, if you're listening to us.
Check your comments on you.
And you heard her, if you're listening, say, I've reached out to my council person, right? So let me jump into the comment. So these are the things I think that, when we say, when you were talking about narrative, and it's taking a moment to come in if you want to read it, mine is just on a very slow spin.
It says, I got a comment from a sister. It says, yes, a lack of water raises BP, which I assume is blood pressure, and causes arteries to restrict and increases risk of strokes.
That's my same sister. Yes, lack of water raises blood pressure and causes arteries to restrict and increases risk of stroke. How is it that a community member can call us and say that and dig up to you, but we don't have it coming yet? I think you all are going to listen, my brothers and sisters in these positions. I don't call out to make you look bad.
They better, because I promise. I promise I'm going to do everything to make sure none of them sit in there no more. No. I promise I'm going to tell my barber, my neighbor, at the grocery store, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, everybody I know. Everybody. Because this is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. So now you're talking about not just being in a wheelchair, but now you're talking about blood pressure increasing, arteries, not to mention so many other things, digesting pills, making sure that if you're on new medicine and it causes different reactions in your body, you can adjust to it. They are leaving our folks down here like it is 1851. And the they is a black mayor named John Horn, a black city council majority, 5 black city council members. black fire chief that you was a captain just a snap ago.
All that ARPA money you ain't using for nothing.
All that ARPA money, and we didn't use because we're not getting any of it. So you see that after we spoke, we're just going to start calling it what it is now. We say something, next thing you know, Clarion Ledger, they're all popping up. So we tell you all we really didn't get any of that money compared to the real thing, right? Pete Brown Golf Course got $250K so that some black folks, some black men that want to go and talk about ways to sell out our city without being around the rest of us can go, and then some good men can go and play golf. I'm never going to try to say all, but that's where your 250 went. You know what? Let me rephrase that. There's no good men. There's not a good man alive I know in the city of Jackson that would say, given a chance to direct 250K, would put it to a golf course. I'm going to rephrase that. There's not a good man alive that I know, and I'm going on 50. He's not a good man, sister or brother. If you're thinking of somebody, there's not a good man alive that would be okay with 250K going there when our schools are being bought up by PWIs and our water system being taken away. Our children don't have one basketball court, not one outlet, nothing that they can do. I don't know any good black men that would be okay with 250 towards playing better golf.
We're going to make sense of on there.
Hey, young man, what's up, Rick? And brother.
My brother, how you doing today?
My comment is, it seems like the relationship between blacks and whites, the government and the citizens of Jackson have come to a strain. It's just like an abusive relationship between a male husband and wife. They're not going to ever treat us any better than they treated us thus far. My point, we've treated these people weird. What y'all think about time somebody go to and talk to the president about finding us a country that we can mass leave this country?
I ain't going nowhere.
And set up our own country. I mean, because that's the first thing they say when they first got it, they tried to find their way back home.
You talking about Liberia? I ain't
It's
going.
time for us as a race of people in this country to find our way back home.
That's like, I get that, my brother, don't get me wrong, but it's almost like saying, the person you sent out to run your race hid in the back of the stadium while the race was being run. What we need to do is put a new person out on the track, my brother. I get what you're saying, but we fought for a lot of gains in a country that we're not going nowhere because we probably didn't come here, but that's a whole nother story. A lot of folks in Mississippi will tell you they trace back a lot further than these enslavers. I agree with you, but what we need to do is we need to get these folks out that aren't representing us well and put folks in that are. Put you in there. Put me in there. I mean, put KP in there. I've already said I won't.
Well, how are we going to do that when the game is set up against us, no matter who we put in there? Well, you're always going to get one black person on a three-board committee. If you had 9, you still get 2. You always get outnumbered to vote for anything, even the legislature. It's the same way. You have 4 or 5. You got 100 black people over there. You got 300 white folks. They never come out with anything.
That's and my brother, that's because your leader has led you, and your leader has led you into a burning building. And our beloved, let me finish this point, my brother. Our beloved Dr. King said this the best. He said, I fear I have led my people into a burning building. I just want to say this point, brother. I'm going to give you a chance to respond. So what we need to look at is I hear you saying that with the current setup, we can't succeed. Well, my brother, we were only allowed to vote just a rock skip ago. We survived 360 years, and let me tell you something. It seems between you and I that our progress might have slowed down a little bit.
What you mean? When you come out, when you mention
Oh, it's 55. We got 30 more seconds, brother. 30 seconds. Take us home.
When you mention opportunity, we're always voting about any method. We're always voting about the lesser two evils.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. You're saying just what I'm saying, that this political game, the way it's being presented to us, is not working for us. I agree with you 100%.
Let me have 5 more seconds.
5 more seconds. You got it, my brother.
This water issue is going to also affect the people over in front of it. Because you got insects that's going to fly on this.
Okay, well, I got about 3 more minutes. I want to talk about how it's going to affect South and West Jackson real quick, my brother. But I appreciate you, okay?
The petition.
But make sure you sign that petition when it comes out, okay? Because that's what's going to look like, whether we can put our power together and whether we can fight this back. And I didn't realize that time was flowing on us, guys. So real quick, just to point out the petition, we're going to be back online tomorrow. Of course, same time, same place with the show. But understand, and my sister said the Poor People's Campaign, which she's referencing, and the People's Advocacy Institute, after they filed first suit, did they process stop? No. They filed a suit to be an intervener. They won the right to be an intervener for you. So right now, whether you know it or not, the only group with any power to intervene for you, outside of your city council and mayor who are not doing anything, are those groups, right? Now, what they're trying to do is force the next step in the injunction, right? Meaning that it's got to move forward. Either the EPA is going to continue to be over this process, which is where the Reagan-appointed Judge Wingate comes from, or the water goes back to the city of Jackson. So right now, the People's Advocacy Institute is trying, and the Mississippi Poor People's Campaign is trying to force that injunction, meaning make a next step. Give us back our water, or tell us that the EPA has to remain over it and tell us why, right? Now, that's completely separate. That fight for you has been there since the PAI, People's Advocacy Institute, was called racist for asking for the same transparency everyone's angry about now, okay? That's how it started. Now, what we're telling you to sign, however, is something completely different. Your city council has not been transparent with you in any way, shape, or form about what their options are. They have lied by omission. My daddy used to tell me that if you leave out the truth, you're lying. Well, that's what your city council has done. So this is what the reality is. The reality is that with this water authority control, right? So someone will ask, if the legislature already passed the Metro Jackson Water Authority bill, is this a done deal? The answer is no, not yet. The legislation created the framework for the authority, but it does not automatically transfer Jackson's water system. You see how clear we say this, record it, and then put it back on? Before that authority can take over, let's slow it down, the city of Jackson must agree to lease the water system to it. That means the transfer cannot happen unless city leadership signs off.
Unless they say yes.
Unless city leadership lying to you. And then you got these folks that are the friends of theirs and try to get in good with them and get a benefit. They're lying right along with them.
Exactly. But
they're lying right along with them.
They ain't know though. They don't know about it.
That's right. So if the mayor, KP, and the city council reject that lease agreement, the authority has nothing to take control of. Bottom line, no lease, no transfer. Your city council has not brought up once that they have the power to reject the lease. And I'm sitting right there well posted. They could reject the lease and nothing would happen. And then what it goes to the EPA's injunction order. Whether the EPA is going to continue to take over our water or whether it's going to go back to the city. We forced their hand to give us back our water. And our treacherous administration has led us directly into their hands, but you've got one step. By the time tomorrow comes, by the time we have our next show, and I'm being very honest here, there should be at least 30,000 emails to each one of your city councilmen saying, you didn't tell us this, and if you don't say no to that lease, do not think you're going to get elected again, and we're going to use everything in our power to make sure you never have success in Jackson again. It's the only way we're going to make sure they understand that it's a different price and it's a different day. We're going to go ahead and land this plane for my co-host and myself, Tarek Abdul-Tawwab. Same place, same time tomorrow, Jackson.